The end of Habsburg rule in Sicily was a period of unrest. Charles II's reign ended the Spanish Habsburg line in Sicily, as he had no son. In this period, Sicily was passed between different dynasties as a result of treaties, including the House of Savoy from northern Italy. Order was maintained by a foreign garrison. Huge taxes were paid by the Sicilian population to pay for this, and any wealth generated was promptly exported. Bourbon Sicily, a French dynasty, actually began in 1734 as Charles of Bourbon, later called Charles III of Sicily and of Jerusalem, wrestled first Naples and Sicily from the Austrian Habsburgs. The Bourbon kings would hold court in Naples rather than Sicily, and this generated quite some resentment. And Charles used his time to revive the economy and restore the Sicilian parliament. He arranged trade agreements with Turkey and Tunisia, but at the same time cancelled land leases without any compensation. Small-scale farmers were again reduced to poverty. Sicily was again at the mercy of hunger, disease and crime. To learn more about La Bella Sicilia, consider subscribing. In 1759, Charles III abdicated to become King of Spain, leaving his son Ferdinand I, who would later be known as Ferdinand IV of Sicily. Confusing? Yeah, it is. This was the era of the Grand Tour, which saw Bohemian people from all over Europe to come and enjoy the beauty of Italy and Sicily. Marquis Domenico Caracciolo was unusual. He proved to be the best viceroy in Sicily. He was honest, intelligent, courageous. He closed the monasteries and blocked papal interference in Sicilian politics. He slashed the number of senators and their privileges. He felt the nobles should shoulder some of the responsibility for their excessive benefits. Private armies were made illegal. Nobles dabbling in corruption were punished. The noble families were outraged and demanded the king dismiss this errant viceroy. Instead, Caracciolo doubled down. He was determined the wealthy should pay at least some tax. The viceroy sent in the bailiffs to enforce debts against the noble families, who were stunned. In 1782, Caracciolo set about a fair land tax, to the absolute consternation of clerics and nobles in the parliament. His attempts to improve infrastructure across the island were blocked, as the parliament doggedly defended the status quo. Eventually, Caracciolo was withdrawn from Sicily and posted instead to Naples. King Ferdinand I tried to gain support of regional governors by offering to overturn all the reforms previously implemented by Caracciolo in Sicily. The outbreak of the French Revolution in 1789 rocked the institutions across Europe. In 1795, Francesco Paolo di Blasi plotted to set up a republic government. He was tortured and executed. Napoleon Bonaparte conquered Naples in 1799, causing King Ferdinand to flee to Sicily, escorted by the British naval ships of Horatio Nelson. In 1802, Ferdinand committed to move his court in Palermo. For this he was granted large sums of money, and afterwards he promptly returned to Naples. Sicily was a British naval base in the Mediterranean against Napoleon between 1806 and 1814. British foreign policy was to maintain security in Sicily and defend the Mediterranean trade routes from the French. They sent some troops to Sicily and had their bases in Palermo, Messina and Syracuse. In 1806, Ferdinand I of Two Sicilies returned to the island seeking money. The Sicilian Parliament gave him less than he wanted and forced him to accept an English-style, liberal democratic constitution. In 1810, Ferdinand implored the Sicilian Parliament for funds to defend against the French, but Sicilian unrest had already taken off across the island. The Sicilian constitution was modified to closer reflect the liberal British system and ended the old feudal system, which meant the holding of land in exchange for labour. As Napoleon fell in 1815, the Congress of Vienna restored European monarchs to their former territories. Ferdinand I reversed the earlier reforms and made Naples capital of the Kingdom of Two Sicilies. By 1820, Bourbon control of Sicily had returned, but things were far from over. Ferdinand I's son, Francis I, ruled first as regent and then king of Two Sicilies between 1825 and 1830. The reversal of the new constitution in Sicily triggered further unrest in 1820. The Sicilians demanded the restoration of the Kingdom of Sicily under a Bourbon monarchy, but with the earlier liberal democratic constitution. King Ferdinand I flatly refused and sent an army to reassert control of the island. An agreement was initially negotiated, but soon General Pietro Colletta violently put down the separatist uprising in Sicily. The ruler Ferdinand II of Two Sicilies began in 1830. To start with, he was a liberal reformer, but these reforms did not materialise. In 1837, Syracuse and Catania suffered riots due to widespread discontent over cholera, which had initially spread from Palermo. Bourbon troops were thrown out of Catania, and order only restored after the troops were heavily reinforced. The Bourbon general, Francesco Saverio del Carretto, violently suppressed the revolts with a large number of executions. In 1842, Michele Amari published The History of the War of the Vespers as a literary call to arms for Sicily. In 1848, a revolt broke out in Palermo, led by Rosolino Pillo and Giuseppe Lamasa. The rebels liberated Sicily. Parliament was restored, as was the democratic constitution. The king was declared deposed, and the government was led by Ruggiero Settimo. The forces of Ferdinand II continued to bomb the city of Messina, which was seeking independence. The bombardment lasted for 5 days and had continued long after resistance had stopped. The forces retook Messina after an extremely violent sacking. For the appalling violence in Palermo and Messina, Ferdinand II is remembered as King Bomba. Ruggiero Settimo, Vincenzo Fardella, Giuseppe Lamasa and Francesco Crispi were all promptly exiled. A large debt was imposed on Sicily to pay for the military operations to reassert the draconian Bourbon control. The British politician Gladstone criticised the terrible living conditions in southern Italy and Sicily, and this caused uproar across Europe. British foreign policy had changed. While they retained industrial interests in Sicily, they now opposed the Bourbons. Francesco Bentivegna and Salvatore Spinoza led failed revolts in 1853 and 1856, and for this they were executed. Ferdinand II died in 1859 and was succeeded by Francis II. Further revolts broke out across Sicily in 1860. They were quelled, but Sicily was clearly ready for a change.